So in this video today, I'm going to look at the ozone machine, O3 gas creator for your home. A relatively inexpensive device which you could buy. Of course, you look at the link down there to buy and support if you are willing to do that. I'm going to go through a few machines in this video. I don't even think I could get one that I have because it's old. But it is very important to understand in the times of climate change where we have so much water now hitting our lands and our house that we need to think about the mold issues that are increasing in our space. Now you might say, no, I don't have mold because I don't have this, I don't have that. Fine. Think about the amount of water that might be seeping through into the land, into the soil where your houses are sitting now, and how the duration of the water is not as it used to be in proper runoff because of the quantum of water we are getting from the rain, and that leading to the conducive environment for the development of the fungus and mold. Now the fungus that creates the spores, we know how it goes, we know how the mold goes. We cannot see those things until you get a test. So if you could get your mold test, that would be wonderful. But in combating the issue here, because we have to use a framework to think, and in combating, so let's look at a quick framework in dealing with this thing. So this is a framework I often apply in cybersecurity when I'm doing cybersecurity work in my physical work. This framework says we need to identify the threats, then we need to protect our assets, we need to detect, when things are happening, have some method of detection, which would largely be for us with mold testing. Then we need to know how to respond, and of course we need to know how to recover to get back to live our lives how we want. This is a framework of thinking. So identify, protect, detect, recover, and response. Identify, protect. Now at this point I am trying to help you become aware, which is a more change management principle, but it's also part of the identification that molds in your homes, your business places, your cars, wherever you had moisture over these flooding periods. You need to identify the threats here that would affect your assets, whether it's your vehicle, your home. More than likely, the main asset you want to put here is identification of mold related issues that will affect your health, your physicality, the person. So when you get to identify, then you start to think about how do you protect you, the person. So let's forget your house, your car and things, which of course comes into assets also. But you want to protect that criterion asset that is your physical body. And of course you need to know whether you could detect when things are wrong, because that's where people wait till, well, like in my case, you wait until you don't know, so you just don't know. But detection is where you get those measurements. I think Amazon has some home mold testing and stuff like that. You do those testings. If you could afford them, you could buy those stuff, test and see if you have mold and mold infestation. Of course you could inspect also with your eyes to see certain spots where molds usually grow. Your bathroom might have this little black thing. You might think it's just algae, but it's mold. And of course, what is your response to all this? Well, if it is your bathroom, I guess you would use some chemicals to wash it out and keep an eye on things, because you want to get back to a place where you are functional. This is a cybersecurity framework that is putting our mindsets to start thinking about all threats in the same pattern of recovery. So this here does not detect, this does not identify. This here helps us where? This here helps us in the framework thinking of how we respond when we have an overabundant, let's say, smoke in our home, cooking, and your homes are like mine, so you have one room where you cook, big kitchen, open space. You have smells going all over the place, burning smells, whatever you do. You may have pets, you may have other sources of things that you don't want in your homes, like scents and smells. But the major issue here is not about a bad smelling burning pot or even the smoke from the cigarette or whatever. It is about mold becoming a part of your home, growing, because it has the conducive environment of the nice little moisture, and so it starts to grow in your home. When it starts to grow, it is your health that is at risk, because the spores, which you cannot see, will get into your airways, get into your lungs, get into your gastrointestinal tract, specifically stomach. If your stomach is not acidic enough to really wipe them out, then you end in a position where you have them getting into your small intestine and making endotoxins, which is making nutrients that is not needed by the body go up to the liver, and then the liver has to take these out, which needs real nutrients to get rid of them. and you have a plethora of health related issues because of mold. Now, if you think mold is simple, let's look at what our storybook says. So, in Leviticus, we see this text that tells us how, if a house is unclean, physical house, or due to mold and mildew. Now, that's in the words of Bible back in the days with Moses, Leviticus. They also help us to identify reddish greenish areas that might be patched, specifically on materials like fabric, leathers, and other clothing materials. We are very understanding of these verses, and then there are instructions in the same framework where this Moses would have allowed the people to understand how to deal with the house. Let's look at this here. Now, if it appears in the house after the stone has been thrown out, so literally a house that has a lot of mold, mildewing mold, that mold fungus is so destructive that the people would have taken the responsive attitude of destroying the house to get rid of the mold. And it said it must be torn down. Its stones, timbers, and all plasters and must be taken out of the town. The entire house has to be destroyed if you were infested with mold. Is mold so dangerous? I don't know. But according to what is being written here, mold is very, very detrimental, not to the physical building alone, but to the human elements. So this here gives us an advantage to respond to mold. It's an ozone gas machine. Let me just scroll down to the pages here. The brand doesn't matter, but you know, this is the one I'm showing here for now. What I want to show you output is how much I guess micrograms of O3 gas. So it's making O3 gas. Oxygen is O2. You turn it on, so it has a dial that you turn on for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. Based on how long you want to run it, gives you more effects. I run mine for 30 minutes, never more than 30. I go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then I leave my home. Of course, you leave the home and you come back maybe an hour, 2 hours after, open up the home, let it air out properly. Now, this is a very high capacity one. I guess all this is for illustration purposes, but good illustration nevertheless. What is happening here? The O3 contributes one oxygen to the mold, and that is how the O3 gets effectively become oxygen gas here when it contributes one oxygen. And the oxygen, of course, mold don't like oxygen, just like cancer does not like oxygen. So these things here contributes one oxygen molecule to decapitate the mold. All this is features here about this device, which means you could remove and wash this device, clean all the filters. This is not something you do often. I have mine for 2 years. I've never opened it or cleaned anything like that, but it's just showing you this device is ineffective. Is very effective, but the cost is very low cost, right? So you clean up the source of the odor, you set your timer to however, you come out of the space, you lock up the house, and you go and then you air the room afterwards. Only 7 minutes. The odor is 100 square feet, so I run mine for 30 minutes in all the rooms. Then I leave and I go, and I don't come back. Let everything air out properly, and you get rid of odors. It's not about getting rid of the odor, it's about getting rid of the mold. But of course, this device is great for getting rid of odors. Let's say you have a dead little rat or some animal die in your house, you couldn't find it. These things, you plug them on and you clean out your house, you set it up, and you get all these things done. So it is important to follow the instructions here to help us understand how this mold is or should also be treated. Humidifiers are of course responsive mechanism, but we are looking at devices that would help directly deal with the mold. Now this one again, $57 from a retail or whatever its name, 5,000 per hour O3 gas, same function. It's a air ionizer, deodorizer, same function. You could get anyone that you feel. There are many on Amazon, but what I'm doing here is simply helping you to understand the importance of having one of these devices. Very cheap, very cost effective. that you could use in any room, any of these areas when you are cleaning. If you are a cleaning company, you should have hundreds of these here just to run with your cleaners in the evening. Let it deal with this thing. Remember, carpet molds, all these things. You have this running to get your environment in a tip top shape, so that you don't put yourself in the jeopardy as climate change increases. So thank you for viewing. This one is not in my AI health insight video. This one is out of bound. You would find it on my thing, but it is a responsive mechanism to deal with mold, and I believe the Caribbean people should be aware of this.